Welcome to the Sheckler Spotlight, where creativity meets purpose and conversation goes deeper. Join host Harrison Sheckler as he sits down with inspiring guests from all walks of life, artists, thinkers, musicians, and everyday heroes, to explore the stories that shape us, uplift us, and connect us. Now here's your host, Harrison Sheckler.
Hi, I'm your host, Harrison Sheckler. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Rich O'Toole, Texas troubadour, Mensa member, app developer, and one of the most distinctive voices in independent country music. With over 50 million streams across platforms, Rich has carved out a career rooted in authenticity and grit. His 8th studio album, Ghost, was released in 2024. But today's conversation goes beyond the music. After recently admitting himself to rehab, Rich is sober and here to talk about that decision, how the experience has shaped him, and what hope he has for others who might be struggling. The spotlight is now on you. Rich O'Toole, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to talk to you today. And you have just such an interesting background with all these different interests. And we're just going to dive in. I always dive into the origin stories with my guests. So we're going to start from young Rich O'Toole. Like, how did it all begin? And you get on this path of music, and we'll dive into Mensa. So where did it start?
No, as a kid, I was an only child. My parents only had one child. My dad had, I had brothers and sisters from my dad's first marriage. But as an only child, my parents worked. I mean, I grew up kind of, lower middle class. So they both had two jobs. They worked. I was home alone a lot. So I think I just acquired so much from reading books and entertaining myself and stuff that I was always kind of like someone that was for the arts or whatever, And so I dove into baseball, and I really was obsessed with baseball. I would watch Mark Grace on the Cubs at WGN like every day. In the summers, throw a ball against the wall. So I dedicated my life to baseball. And so going through that in high school, I was obsessed with it. I want to be a major leaguer. And I blew my elbow out. I have a giant scar right here.
Oh, nice.
And I couldn't play baseball anymore, man. So I ended up going to Texas A&M. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I went for a year. I had to go to Blinn because I couldn't get into A&M. And so all my friends joined fraternities. I couldn't join until I got into A&M. Super sad. So I had a guitar that I had from high school. And in high school, I would like write songs and play, but I didn't really take it seriously. Never did a talent show, anything. And so when I got to college, I learned like every single Robert Earl Keen song I possibly could. And I was obsessed with it. So I started writing my own music, my own version of, I thought, these songs. And I'd go around town and I'd win some like songwriting contests, or win open mic nights, and people were like, you should really do this. And I put a band together, and our big break was I started playing every Sunday on the back porch of the Dixie Chicken. And we had an album that came out, and it went to, the song Queen of the Misfits went to number 3 on the Texas chart. I was only 22 at the time. I'm 41 now, so I've been doing it for like 20 years. We got lucky. I mean, Texas country back in the day, there was only 20 bands. You had like Pat Green, Ragweed, Randy Rogers, but there was 20 bands. When I got into it, now there's 37,000. So I was very lucky to get a start. And man, just started writing. I loved writing music. I found my passion from baseball, switched to songwriting, and I just loved it. And it got me in places where I got to be creative in other outlets, like designing apps, merch companies, stuff like that, man. I really enjoy just creating. I paint. So to me, it's like, I just love using this dome to just create. It's just fun to create. And songwriting is my number one passion. So I'm writing a song every day. But that's it, man. I'm just very, it's fun. I have an amazing job, and I love to write. So.
No, I think that's awesome. I love all the different avenues that you're exploring.
Yeah.
Keeps you well-rounded, to say the least. So who were some of these inspirations early on? Were your parents musical at all?
No, they're not. My dad tried to sing. He was a terrible
Tried to sing
in the car. My mom, she listened to rock radio when she did in the morning. I grew up to like Stevens and Pruitt and like Rock 101. So I knew music, but no, not at all, man. And my influences was, I grew up on like George Strait, thank God.
Oh, amen.
Alan Jackson and like 90s country. But I didn't know that there was an alternative. I didn't know that there was a Steve Earle and a Reckless Kelly and Towns Van Zandt and Robert O'Keefe. I had no idea until I met my best friend Brian Kuhn, and he had a bag full of tapes his dad and brother gave him. We would listen to Keane and Towns Van Zandt and Guy Clark and Slade Cleaves, and I was like, "What? This? Wait! How is there music that exists that's not on the radio?" Like, it blew my mind, and it was raw and it was gritty and it was honest. Versus what you were hearing on the radio was just like, "Don't blame it on a straight tequila." No, it was so produced. And that was a hit. I mean, that was a banger.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, and that's when I my music, I always wanted to be those guys. So, and I've always held myself back. I've had two national record deals, and I didn't. I think I self-sabotaged a lot of those because I secretly didn't want to be this byproduct of Nashville. I wanted to be an outlaw,
Mm.
and I did. And I got kicked out of some music labels, got kicked out of management companies, and I think I was trying to live the outlaw lifestyle a little too on the edge.
What
So
what are some of like what drew the line or across the line, excuse me, for them, if you don't mind diving into that. I'm curious because
I don't
some people really like going independent and some people they do really well with a record label.
probably drinking too much.
Drinking too much,
My
okay?
brain's fast. So you talked about mental, like my brain's super quick. I mean, this sucker is like a Ferrari. And so like it
I
needs
love
to
it.
go in the shop every 2 months and get a checkup, man. But I loved alcohol because, and I wasn't a heavy drinker like a bottle of whiskey a day. I would just drink 2 bottles of wine a day or, 8 beers a day, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
But I loved it because it would just shut this thing down. And I think a lot of times, like, after 8 or 9 beers, in a management company would call me and, hey, we want to put you on the front cover of Moms That Love Country Music Magazine. And I'd be like, screw that. I'm not doing that. I'm Rich O'Toole. And looking back, I'm like, wow, you're an idiot. Um, and no, and that's kind of why I dove into alcohol for so long was my brain. It's hard to shut this thing down at night. It wants to go to bed, but it's still rocking and racing up there. So that's why I used booze. And I think a lot of the losing my record deals and management deals was because I was probably drunk a lot
Hmm.
on purpose. I liked it. I liked being drunk, still do. I'm sober now. I don't think I'll ever go back. And like in AA and stuff, they teach you like, I'm sober today. Tomorrow's the next thing. But no, it got to a point where my body, my blood pressure, and my anxiety attacks just couldn't handle alcohol anymore. I didn't want to
Hmm.
go sober, but I had to. My body and mind just wouldn't allow it. So, but
So
yeah,
what
that was the reason.
yeah, so what was like the turning point of like I need help? What was it, like the physical part of
Yeah,
it,
it
or
was
was it
just
the relationships or
everything. I mean, it just wasn't. I can really be an asshole. Are we allowed to cuss on this thing?
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm like the nicest guy sober. I don't have a mean, bone in my body. I don't. Like I am just like if you met me, you're just like, guy's the sweetest guy. I call that guy Rich. O'Toole, on the other hand, if I'm drunk at a bar, I'm real sarcastic. I like to cause a little bit of trouble. I like to push the line, not in a bad way. I've never done anything. I've never been arrested or anything. I'm not in a bad way. I've never like really hurt anybody. I've never thrown a punch in my life. I've never punched anybody. I just real sarcastic. And
Hmm.
so that's the thing is me being drunk is not a good thing. I enjoy it when I'm by myself. And most times I'm not bad. I'm kind of more charismatic and loose. But it's just to a point where my body wouldn't accept it anymore. At 41, my blood pressure was getting to the point where I was 170 over 100, risk of a stroke. I was waking up at 4 in the morning with panic attacks, and I'd have to drink wine at like 5 in the morning just to be ready at 8 a.m. to be in the studio. And I show up to the studio too drunk because just was a thing where my brain and body couldn't handle it.
Hmm.
Trust me, I tried. I tried my best not to give up alcohol. I did because I loved it. I love
Hmm.
to cook with red wine. I like a beer buzz watching baseball. I don't want to give it up. I don't. But my mind and body. So it was like basically if I bought like a really great car and I've been driving for a while and I walked out in the driveway one day and it's smoking from both ends. I'd be like, yep, time we're taking this to the shop. And that's what I did. I saw myself mentally and physically and said, you're going into the shop for 30 days. That's what it was, man.
Well,
Straight up.
props to you, for you know coming to grips that you have a problem and then you
Yeah.
want to get help. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And I think it's an inspiration to others listening because honestly, there's a lot of us, we all deal with the same problems and
Yeah.
we just don't like to be open about it. And so, I appreciate you being open about it. So going into rehab, I mean, we just hear people they go to rehab. What's rehab like? What?
Um, there's good and bad ones now. I mean, honestly, the place that I was at, and I'll openly talk about it. I think
Yeah.
everyone should go there. Even if you're sober, you should go there. This place is amazing. It's called La Hacienda. It's outside of Kerrville, Texas, and Hunt, and it's beautiful. They take your phone away. It's like going to college for 30 days. There's doctors, professors. You go see a doctor every day. They take your blood every 2 weeks. You talk to a doctor every morning. You have a notepad, a 100-page notepad filled to the gills. You go to class. So like from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., you're going to about 7 different 1-hour courses. And you're learning about the brain. You're learning about the body. You're learning about addiction. You're learning about how it works. Learning about God, getting back with God, learning about your spirituality. If I owned a company, I would make my CEO go there. It's a good reset. You don't have your phone. So at night, you fall asleep reading a book. You're constantly exercising. You're constantly going to the top of the mountain. They call it Serenity Hill. Where there's a cross. You're constantly praying. You're basically thinking about your life for 30 days in solitude to see where you've made the mistakes, how to apologize for them, what's your next thing. So it was like I checked in at a rich minus one. I left at rich 2.0, and it was great. Now there's some bad rehabs where it's a bunch of just druggies in like a clinic and you lay in a bed all day and they don't really do much. This place really does change your life, and it's called La Hacienda. So if you're watching and you really want to change your life, go check into La Hacienda. It really is great. So that rehab was awesome. You eat very well. I gained pounds because I was eating like 2 packs of M&Ms every day, and
Hey, that sounds good.
eating baked chicken and good stuff for your body. But it was phenomenal, man, and it changed my life. Even if I wasn't wanting to give up alcohol, I'm still glad I did it because it was a thing where I mentally got to take a 30-day break and reassess like what I want to do for the rest of my life.
What I think's interesting with rehab and AA and there's Gamblers Anonymous and these other groups
Yeah,
is the focus does have that spiritual aspect to it. And you don't have to be someone that believes in God to go be a part of this, but they do look towards a higher power. What was your
yeah,
experience with that? Uh, and do you
yeah.
believe in God? And like,
Oh
what's
yeah.
your background?
I believe my background is I was raised Catholic, confirmed Catholic, grew up in
I'm
the
Catholic as well.
Catholic
So,
church. Yeah, you totally get it. And then I got older. I was like, this is kind of weird. It's like guys in towns like chanting. I'm like, I believe in God, but do I? Am I still Catholic? I don't
Right,
know. I didn't
right.
go to church for years. When I was in there, there was some people because it's not you're not just in there with alcoholics. It's probably half alcoholics, the rest people addicted to cocaine, heroin, meth, all walks of life. There's
Yeah.
people that are court appointed in there, so 10%. Like there's people that have like killed someone with their car, man. Like and they're facing jail time, but they're going there first. Like you're getting everything. Um, I think a lot of it was kind of like you had to find your higher power. These people, a lot of times, half of them didn't believe in God. So when they were like preaching about God, they were like, it doesn't have to be God. It can be your higher power can be something that just whoever created you, reaching up to that person and going, I need your help. I'm going to give you all my problems. Come down and just help me make it through. And I've done everything I could possibly do. A higher power, you got to take over because these things are out of my control. So when things are out of your control, you have to have a higher power. I'm not in control. In the moment I feel like I need to be in control, this crazy brain is going to try to manipulate it. It's going to try to take it over. This thing is not God. God is God. Your higher power is God. So a lot of people in there had to really find out who their God was. And that was tough for some people. It wasn't tough for me. I believe in God. I pray to him every night. But you have to find your higher power if you really want to cure your anything,
Hmm.
gambling, alcohol, sex addiction, workaholics. There's like 38 addictions out there, and if you want to cure it, you got to find your higher power to help you cope with it.
Yeah, and the steps, like you said, there's so many different addictions, and people deal with addictions just in their daily life. We all deal with addictions to varying
Yeah,
degrees. And honestly, even if you just looked at the AA steps, and applied them to your daily life, I think people would
yeah,
learn a lot from it. It's a very introspective way of looking at life and learning about yourself. I mean, I know so much about it because I've had people who, have gone through the process and I
yeah,
learned about it. So it it's a great thing, and I think it's something that people shouldn't. stray away from, because we all kind of put our walls up and we're like, hey, I don't want to be associated with that. And, there's the
Yeah,
anonymous
100%.
factor, but again, I appreciate you being open about it. Some people are, I think if you're open about it, you're finally like letting
Yeah,
go. It's just
I
like that
don't
weight
care.
of,
I don't care because in AA, I thought it was a bunch of weirdos, and it's still a little weird to me. I love AA. I think it's great. And you're right. The 12 steps, everyone in life, I don't care if you're sober or nothing, follow them. Because everyone has an addiction. You're lying. Like my mom's a workaholic. She can
yeah.
stop at 2 glasses of wine. I don't even know what my dad is. Brothers, sisters, everyone I know has 2 or 3 addictions,
Hmm.
and they call them cross addictions. Like right now, I drink 3 cups of coffee a day because it kind of gives me a little like caffeine buzz. I have a cigar at night because it gives a little nicotine buzz. This brain always wants something, man.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not perfect. I was born with a racehorse brain that once it craves alcohol, it wants to do drugs. I'm luckily my mom scared the shit out of me as a kid that I never got into drugs. So I've never
That's
tried
a good
heroin,
mom.
never tried cocaine, never tried meth. She scared the living crap out of me. Um, but that caused a lot of problems in my life too that I had to
Mm,
address. She made me scared of everything. Now, alcohol, for some reason, when I would get a beer buzz in college, I was like, I'm not scared of anything. Well, that's the most dangerous thing you can be a part of. Alcohol is, I think, the most dangerous drug, but it's the only addiction I ever really needed help with. I know I don't have any other addictions, thank God. No
mm,
gambling, no nothing. I'm just addicted to alcohol, and I'm not really addicted to it. I freaking like it.
yeah.
I'm actually I just can't do it anymore because I don't want to ruin my health or my brain.
Right.
That's the reason I stopped. Anyways, yeah, man, I think the higher power, the 12 steps are great. I think everyone needs to follow them just in general because everyone does have an addiction. And those 12 steps will help you battle your addiction.
Now you mentioned struggling with anxiety, and
Yeah.
that's something that, like, early on I was diagnosed with a general anxiety disorder, and I got help, and I'm doing great today. I feel like I'm pretty well balanced and everything, but I mean there's millions of people who have struggle with this. But how does anxiety play into your life? What have the struggles been?
Man, like I said, it's all brain. And the more you study the brain, I read books and books on the brain. It's all the brain tricking you. Your brain's a giant computer, and so it's just if you have a computer that's just way overpowered in a small confined area, it's going to cause a lot of anxiety, or your inner download system is going to go nuts, and that's all it is. And you learn about anxiety, battling it. It was terrible because what would happen for me if I went sober, my anxiety goes down. Like every day, my anxiety gets better.
Mm,
If I was drinking, I would have had to have 4 or 5 beers to come on this podcast because I wouldn't be myself. I'd be a little jittery or anxiety. Now I'm dead sober. I don't have any really anxiety. And how anxiety works that people have to understand is this: you're getting tricked by your brain. Nothing is really happening. There's no anxiety. It's just your anxiety is from your brain. It's a chemical malfunction. It's a disorder, a chemical imbalance. It's basically telling you a bear is chasing you when there's no bear.
mm,
So anxiety is the worst thing. And with alcohol, for me, um, I would have to drink the next day, or my anxiety was twice as worse. So not only was I curing my anxiety with this Band-Aid of Coors Light, the next day the Band-Aid was off, but now the wound was even bigger. So I had to keep adding, alcohol to the fire. That was no way. If you have anxiety, alcohol is not the way to handle it. The other side of the coin is you can get SSRIs. People get addicted to Xanax, stuff like that. You want to stay away from that. I think honestly, with like meditation and exercise and diet is probably the best way to cure anxiety. And so try to dive into that. But I like anxiety now. You know why? Because it means my brain is functioning properly. It's working up there, man. It's churning things over. It is rocking. And with that, it's going to come anxiety. Most people that are intelligent have a major form of anxiety. And so if you have anxiety, see it as a compliment, but try to use it for the best.
hmm
That's all.
Well,
Was
and
that too long of an explanation? I feel like that
no,
was too.
that was perfect. That was great. That was great. And like I said, it's really relatable. I mean, I deal with it. Everyone deals with it to
Yeah.
some level or not. And um, now you mentioned your mind. You are an intelligent person, and you're a card carrying member. To say that you're an intelligent
Yes.
person, a Mensa member. One, tell us, for some people who don't know what Mensa is, can you describe it? And then how did you get involved?
they use it in a lot of jokes, like you see it on Family Guy, or like it's basically it's 0.001% of the population that has the highest IQ. Blunt IQ is I think 164. It's I've never been to a Mensa meeting. I have a card. Here's my wallet right here. Here's my Mensa card. You can see it. It doesn't get any discounts. You can't use it anywhere. It's just all bragging rights. And most times I never even tell anybody. For some
Yeah.
reason, it popped up on my Wikipedia because Mensa, I think, put me as one of their like celebrity members or something.
I
So
think
people
that's
know about
great.
it from the Wikipedia side. It's not, I mean, if you go to a Mensa meeting, you probably think everyone there's like dumb because they're like in there building robots and stuff. These people are wicked smart. I don't,
Yeah.
how I got into it was my mom thought I had a learning disability. So when I was 16, I was getting like all D's and C's in school. What was happening was I didn't read one book in high school. I would take every test just blind. I'd make a C because I could play baseball or go outside. I hated work. I did through all the college. At A&M, I took every test blind. I'd maybe read a book here and there. I just did everything off the top of the head
Hmm.
and passed with a C or B, 2.9. So I thought I had learning disability, and they gave me an IQ test, and this lady came back. She was like, "It's the highest IQ we've tested in like 30 years." And
I
when
bet
you
she was
submit them for
blown
Mensa,
away.
I think I was like, "Yeah, sounds about right." And
You're
no,
like, I don't know what you
cocky.
guys were thinking. I knew it all along.
I
Don't
knew
waste
this
my
brain
time.
was crazy. I would. When I was laying in bed, I had a dartboard above my bed or across from it, and I would memorize all the patterns at night. I mean, I'm probably somewhat on the spectrum or something. I don't even know, but yeah, I'm a member of Mensa, and you meet a lot of people that it's the older generation. The younger generation's like, I don't know what that is, but if you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, people they're like, oh, it's a big deal. And
It
most
is. It's
companies will
huge.
hire companies will hire you. Like I could go work for Boeing right now or something, and they'd find a spot for me because they would know I'll be able to solve some kind of problem. But I chose songwriting, which makes no money. So how big of a genius are you really if you're not making any money? You're an idiot.
Well, how does that mind play into your songwriting? Do you think it's helped you along the way, or
I think so. I think that the chord patterns of songwriting are all based on numbers, like the Nashville number system, 145, circle of fifths. So maybe my brain is like thinking in patterns.
mm,
So maybe like my songs are just kind of like number of chord patterns, and I put lyrics underneath that. So I don't know. Good question. I don't want to dive in and figure that out. I just let this thing just like do what it does.
yeah, it's working, so you're not gonna mess with it.
Yeah.
So, remind me, you're completely self-taught, or have you had some teachers?
Yeah, I got guitar lessons when I was 16. My best friend Frank Gerald and I would go. I think we got like a group discount from our parents. And a guy named Adam Flint, he's still teaching guitar. He's like one of the best guitar players I think in the world. If I was six in Houston, I went and learned for like a couple years, and went to college. I basically was self-taught, teaching music and self-taught, like learning more aggressive chords and pentatonic scales, stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah,
So, okay. And then so when did you start realizing that music was actually going to be like the career? I know you had the baseball goal first, right?
yeah.
And then it totally shifted. When was it like this is more than just another interest?
You can't like I've tried to quit the music industry like 4 or 5 times. You can't really quit. You're tethered into it
Yeah.
because I have so many. There's so many fans now. I mean, I think our social media we're at like across all 6 platforms. We're at like 500,000. If I quit, there'll be so many people that would be let down. I guess
Yeah. Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of people that would love it too. They'd be like, "Yeah, he sucked. I didn't. I liked it. I wanted that guy to quit." Um,
Haters.
but no, I think
You
I
got haters. That means you're successful.
Oh yeah, there's so many Rich O'Toole haters. The name Rich O'Toole alone makes you. If I didn't know me, I'd be like Rich O'Toole. That sounds like a stupid name. Like I think there's a lot of haters out there just because of the name. But that's my real name. My birth name is. I won't tell you my first name. My middle name is Richard, and I hated my first name, so I went by Rich O'Toole after high
Mhm.
school, and that's my real name, Rich O'Toole. A lot of haters from that. Anyways, it was a project at first in college. I just wanted to see how far I could take it,
Yeah.
and I took it too far. It got to a point where I was making a living doing it, and I didn't go apply for jobs when I was like in my early 20s, like all my friends did. And then I got to my 20s, and there was my late 20s, early 30s, and there was no going back. I had to either make this work or go apply for real jobs. And they're going to be like, what did you do for the last 10 years? Be like, I was in a band just playing every honky tonk around the United States, drinking beer and chasing chicks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to hire you. You have no training. So I kind of was forced to make this work.
Yeah.
So that's when I started other streams of income, like develop, having a couple apps that did well, or clothing lines or stuff like
Textmoji, right? Was one of them.
Textmoji, yeah.
Yeah. So
And
tell
that
us
did
about.
really well until it didn't.
But that's usually what
Kind of
happens,
just
right?
screwed us, yeah.
Well, so tell me about that. I have some friends that are they design apps. My
Yeah.
brother-in-law, he's he works for Garmin, and works coding
Wow.
for the apps and stuff. And yeah, so how did you dive into that interest? I mean, baseball, music,
Uh,
apps, like what?
I'd create way more apps, or just wait. They're super expensive. You don't understand. Even I was trying to come out with this taco truck app, and they wanted like $120,000 to create it. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Yeah, with Textmoji, there was no Texas emoticons on the Apple Store, and everyone was complaining. And the reason we did so well, but also the reason we failed, was because of that. So when we dropped it, like Casey Musgraves and like these big Texas accounts all retweeted it. We sold like 85,000 downloads in one day. We were in like
Holy
Time
cow.
Magazine for highest grossing selling app in a day. Sell these records. The next month, it was sold $500 because basically China copied it and released like 38 different versions of it. So you couldn't really find us in the store. So it was a giant success, and then it was a giant failure. But paid my mortgage for 6 months and just went on to the next project. But I think that I was just sitting there, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time doing some songwriting, and on a napkin with my buddy Sean, just like, we need to create this. So let's do it. There needs to be Texas emoticons. And we did it, and everyone downloaded it. But you can only use it over text. You couldn't use it on social media, and that's what crushed us. People were like, the reviews were like, why can't I use this on Twitter? Why can't I use this on Facebook? And we were like, Apple owns all that. There's no way to do that. You can use it. You can text your buddy the Texas flag, though, over text. That was cool. So it did okay, and it was fun to do. But yeah, the app world's crazy. You really need a lot of them. It takes about 2 million to make 5 million.
So are you coming up with the ideas and then finding the people to design it, or do you know how to do design, or what's
I
your
don't know how to
background in that?
code. The best thing, if you know how to code, you can make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
A, coding, B, creating your own apps. And that's the thing I should do. I should go to coding school. I just don't have time to do it, because that's the best way. You need to learn how to code apps. That's why these cats in India are crushing it.
Yeah.
It's because they know how to code. And you can go over there and do it for like 6 times cheaper. You don't know what you're going to get back, and the conversation is going to be crazy. But an app that would cost in the States 120 grand to build, you can build it over there for $4,000.
So is that what you started with? You went over there to do it, or did you do
We
it here?
did, and then we just realized it was a total shit show. And I hired a company out of Austin, and we borrowed like 40 grand to create it. Ended up making 120,000, but then.
So you're getting a bunch of Indians to make a Texas flag?
Their idea of what Texas is crazy.
Well, tell me.
I don't know. The first stuff we got back was okay. It just was goofy looking. They don't know how to do. They'd be like, if you asked me to, like, I mean, I don't, without getting like racist here, it's like if you asked me to create like the best tasting curry in the world, I'd be like, I'll give it a shot. I don't think it's going to taste what you're capable of. Yeah, people are good at what they're good at.
Yeah,
they're great at creating apps, but they're probably not great at like recreating Texas flags.
Yeah, that's so funny. I mean, I guess we all come from a different culture, and we're kind of programmed to do things certain ways, and we have our own biases and influences, I guess. And
I think that makes it fun. That's why I don't understand why racism exists. To me, I see every race as like its own flavor. It's fun, man.
I love that.
Indian
Their
food.
own
I love
flavor.
talking to Indian people. They're really smart. The best engineers in the world.
Course. There's actually a good population here in Kansas City, and they're killing it. They're so like they have great jobs, and the people are awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing.
You know what's funny about racism? Being racist is like if you're in love with bland food. There's a great correlation. It's like if I was like, okay, say I'm a white guy and I'm racist and I only like other white people, right? That'd be like me like protesting, like, I want dry chicken breast. I want to eat a dry chicken breast. They'd be like, why?
Yeah, no, there's no point.
So many other variations out there that you can like hang out with and enjoy. Why do you like obsessed with your like dry chicken breast? Yeah. I'm not saying white people are dry chicken breast. I'm just saying like expand your palette, man. There's a lot out there, and they offer a lot of different things, and it's great.
Oh
You
yeah,
got great conversation. It makes no
it's
racism to me makes no sense. It really doesn't. It doesn't
no.
make any sense.
Yeah, I'm on the same point, same wavelength there. Um, I mean, well, and then you also you see it was like schools, like affirmative action, and they have to get their quotas for,
Yeah,
you know, and I'm just kind of like, if we just want my viewpoint, this is my personal viewpoint, is if you want to eradicate like racism, well, quit pointing it out and making sure that you have to get a box, check off a box and just say, okay, to really just pinpoint it down, I'm all for
yeah,
merit. And if everyone has the same standards, you know, I think they can shoot for it. And that's where we find the top of the top. But if we just go for people just because of what the color of their skin is, one, I think that's racist. And then
yeah,
two, you're not finding people who really excel from that culture
yeah.
necessarily. Yeah, you know?
Well, the brain is the same color. That's what I always tell people.
Yep. Our blood's the same.
Our skin is all pigmentation.
Hmm.
I have a giant dark spot on my leg, a birthmark. Does
Hmm.
that make me like, am I 4% Panic? No, not. Our skin is just pigmentation. The brain is the same color. So at the same time, you're totally right. The only reason I think they do that is because young Rich O'Toole, even though we're raised in lower middle class, I had access to walk to a library. I had parents that would go check me out books or buy books. I think a lot of the affirmative action stuff was based on like inner city Chicago. There's
Hmm.
probably a kid with the same IQ I had that had to turn to like drugs or stuff like that because they didn't have the right resources or assets. So I guess that's
Absolutely.
why
Yeah.
they put that in there. That's why that is. But when it comes to like race and diversity, there shouldn't be a difference. Everyone should have the same opportunity.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
it does actually hurt, you know, white dudes like me because I'm not them. If I was, it happened in Hollywood too. A lot of my buddies lost a lot of jobs to like Indian actors because they needed Indian actors, and everyone they're only casting like one Indian role. It was like the token Indian friend, and I was the only person that ever got the roles. And it's like, no, you gotta so, stuff like that makes sense. It's got to be fair. Life needs to be fair,
Hmm.
but yeah, it does hurt. The average normal white dude that wants to go to A&M, they're going to diversify a little bit because like they need different people in their program. So that's just something a pill you have to swallow, and that's just what it is. But
Hmm.
no, it should be equal. I don't know. I don't answer that question because who knows? But it should be equal.
It's
Everyone's
it's a
brain is the same color. That's all.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I'm on the same page. Actually, I think one of the biggest issues, and I was talking with someone about this recently, is um the role of family, and our father figures. And I think that, I mean, I'm not gonna don't have to dive into that, but like I think if we really get back to just good parenting, I think it's going to solve
Yeah.
the world's problems. And it's regardless of, race or whatever, religion, creed, and family. I think we need to kind of get back to our roots and just
Just
see
like
what's
COVID,
really important in life.
we should do an anti-iPhone COVID like we did when during
Oh,
COVID. We should just be like, look, everyone's going back to a landline for 2 years.
could you
Get
imagine?
families like y'all need to eat dinner together. Like we basically relive like 1981.
Hmm.
Be like everyone for a year. There's no iPhone. There's no social media. We're going to restart over. We're just going to basically everyone has a landline. Everyone's eat dinner, and we're going to figure it out. And then we can slowly get back in the iPhone. We're going to recreate all this because the world has just become over to demons. When I read the stat that there was 1.8 million females on OnlyFans, I was like, time to get back in the church. It
Yep.
is time to get back in the church. Morally, I get it, ladies. It's a great way to make a lot of money with what God gave you. But man, this is going to cause some big problems. So, yeah, I just wish we had like an iPhone COVID where everyone had to go to a landline and raise their kids and play with them in the front yard, man, because that's just not happening anymore.
I
It's
think
really
that's genius. Have you seen those pictures um of where people have edited out phones in people's hands, and they're like walking around like New York, and everyone's just like this with their
yeah.
blank hand. It's just like it looks ridiculous without a phone in your hand. And we don't realize how glued in we are. We are
We're still glued to it.
Oh, I'm glued. Like
I lost my
th-
phone for 30 days in rehab, and it was the greatest 30 days of my life. When I got it back, I was instantly addicted to it again. I'm on that thing all the time. I'm running different business. We have a merch line coming out. That thing is my like computer. Sorry, my table's wobbling.
oh, you're good.
So, yeah, but we're addicted to it. What we're going to find out mentally is down the road is how like devastating that was, and
Oh, of
still will
course.
be. People are not going to leave their houses. It's just going to become people are going to marry robots. People are going to become way more recluse. Like this world's in a we're in for a bad next 30 years of what that's going to look like. I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
really
think it's
don't.
going to be insane. Like you said, well,
Oh,
with AI and everything, people are
yeah.
going to have relationships, like you said, with robots or whatever. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and I think it's going to be sooner than later. And what's that going to do for the population? For one, I mean, we already have a birth rate problem, and I think that's
Well,
nuts.
dumb people are going to keep getting pregnant because they're dumb. So, like, we don't worry about that. We just worry about there are a lot of dumb people to be created. Like for me, I'm always like the first time I date someone, I'm like, let's get on birth control. When is your cycle? Like very intelligent. Dumb people are like, I'm gonna drink a bunch of booze and I'm just hey, whatever happens, happens. And you're like, dude, that's why you have 7 kids on welfare. That's not okay.
Yeah, we
Talk to
need.
your partner about sexual stuff.
Yeah, we
So
need
yeah,
to
like 30
get
years, gonna
back.
be a lot of dumb people in the world. Your
That's
family tree is expanding. My family tree is like doing this.
I just wonder what that when we have all these, I guess, dumb people, in the world, what that's going to look like, and then we have
Oh, the
AI.
movie Idiocracy. That's what it's. Look up Idiocracy. It's the best
Idiocracy.
film
Okay.
ever. It's exactly what happens. They predict the future of what happens when dumb people have 6 kids and smart people have 0 to 1. And it's like, and they're like watering plants with Gatorade. Uh,
Oh, I've
it's
seen this
this.
movie. Yes, I've seen this
Yes,
movie. It's like electrolytes, electrolytes.
electrolytes. They're and the president like drives a monster truck.
Yes.
It's a fun. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm kind of glad that I'll die hopefully in my 80s, and that's like 40 years from now because I really don't want to see what it's like. I don't, man. I want to just live in nature in a log cabin and rip a cigar and just like pet some deer and hunt and like write music and stuff. I took it as far as I want to take it.
Yeah, you're gonna go to God's country, you know?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm
Uh,
trying. I'm trying to get out there.
I love that. So, okay, so when you're out in like let's say God's country, is that where some of
Yeah.
your inspirations like come or when you're writing your songs, what's the process for you? Like where do these inspirations come? Some people can just go into a studio and boom whip it out and some people are like I need to be in nature.
I looked over there to see if my guitar's out. I was going to try to show you.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I think here. I'll grab my guitar. Pause it for a
yeah,
second.
do it.
Hold on 1 second. So yeah, it's like a. So if I usually write once a day, and so when you're writing, uh, it's like this is a minor chord, so it's sad, and G's real happy. So like you're writing, it's like I wish I saw her in a sundress, and then sad would be like that's when my dog died last night. That's when my dog died last night. Or happy, like I saw her dancing in a sundress. So when you write, you just kind of come up with like, if I'm really in a sad mood, then I'll write in E minor or A minor. Like, yeah, I don't know what to do. Can't pay my bills today. It's like sad. Or like you're writing in G, you're like, I got me some coffee and I'm see my baby. So it just depends on the mood and the chords, man. And you can write what you're feeling and write your story.
I
That's
love
how it
that.
works.
Well, it's so I'm all classical background, and it was kind
Yeah.
of interesting. You bring up like the different keys. Well, Johann Sebastian Bach, he well in the Baroque period, the tuning system was completely different.
Yeah.
Like with keyboards, there's what we have now is equal temperament. So we have the 12, half steps in a scale, and they had I have a doctorate in piano. Now I'm forgetting everything.
Wow, you got jam.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. But anyway, so their tuning system was different, and so it gave this like gave different colors for different keys, and so it
Yeah.
was more of the aspects of like what mood they could portray in like Baroque music. Like it was pretty intricate. We think of it, oh, it's this really old music, but no, they had a lot going on. It's very you can get really in depth with Baroque music. But yeah, no, it's interesting. You're talking
Well,
about the different
technology,
keys.
music and technology hasn't changed since like the 1500s. So, I mean, this thing you could have made this, which they did in
Oh
like
yeah,
the
they had
1500s.
guitars.
So
I
like you
wonder
can,
here one
it's
second.
like
I
you can
think
do whatever you want with it.
I think the sound, how do I get it onto okay, audio settings and then is it original sound for music? Is that what they do?
Is it what?
So like, oh yeah, original sound for musicians. Try that. Try playing something now.
If I was on Sheckler spotlight last night. Is that right?
You can
I
kind
would have told you the story about it.
like I can hear you singing and it kind of like cuts out the guitar for some reason. I don't know what that
Oh, it
is.
does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean
we
you
missed
look
that. It is what it is.
yeah, no, but you look great and we could kind of get the affect of the keys and whatnot.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's kind of how you write.
I
So
love that. No, thanks for kind of giving us a little insight into that. That's cool. So what are the music? What music are you writing? You released the album Ghost in
yeah,
2024. That's the most recent album?
it is the most recent. It did okay. So if you're watching this and you want to dive into it, it's my eighth album. It's a great record, but it needs
Hmm.
some more support. So I'll be humble and say like it really needs people to listen to it. I don't know why it didn't do that well. It really didn't, and I think it's some of my best work. When I was in rehab, I wrote a record, so I'm gonna release a like 13 track dark acoustic record, just me and a guitar. It's gonna be kind of sad.
You did this during your 30 days of rehab?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They let me have my guitar there, and so I'd write when I wasn't in class or talking to a doctor or something. I'm sure it
Wow.
annoyed my roommate, but it was I got some really great songs out of it because I would, I'm in there with 80 people that are friggin' they're addicts, they're insane, and like hearing their stories and the even like whatever the professors would say, crazy stuff, I would pick up on. I have a song coming out. We're going to release to radio because Fourth of July is like in the top 30 right now. So I think I'm going to release this to radio in September, and it's called "Baby." I wrote it in there. It's called "Baby, We're Both Right." Baby, we're both right. And I heard this professor say this when this guy stormed out of rehab. He said, he goes, "Ah, well, we're both right." And I was like, "What do you mean you're both right?" He goes, "I'll be right here, and he'll be right back." And so I wrote this song. I played it for everyone in rehab. And it's like, "Baby, we're both right. I'll be right here, and she'll be right back. Yeah, I'll be right here, and she'll be right back." So that's gonna be our big radio hit that's coming out in September.
I mean,
I
I
wrote
tell you,
that in
if I
rehab.
had a roommate in rehab, I'd want it to be you. You'd be really
Yeah.
entertaining.
I won't say his name, but he was a cool guy. He's like my age, and he was a great dude. And I know, and he knew the band too. He knew who I was during that.
Really?
So he was like, yeah, he's probably thinking it was crazy. Like I go to rehab and I'm in there with Rich O'Toole. What the hell?
I think that's one of those
Um,
God wink times, God winks at
yeah,
us and be
well,
like, here, there you go. There's Rich.
here we go. Here's Rich for
Yeah.
you. Late night jokes. No, so I wrote a lot of songs in rehab, and so you'll hear them on this record. I'm not sure what I'll title it. It'll be my ninth album. It's just gonna be me and a guitar, and probably a little bit of mandolin, and probably some female background harmonies, and that's about it. It's gonna be really simple because I want the message to be like really broad and laid out. So
Hmm. And so,
yeah,
how would you describe your sound?
I have no idea. I have a weird voice. My voice is unique. Some people hate it. I don't even know. I'd say it's like country rock. It's just like rock and roll, but more of a country twang to it. I don't know, man. It's just Rich O'Toole music. Because I'd say we're Texas country, but we're kind of not. I'd say we're country music, we're kind of not. It's just Rich O'Toole songwriting. I don't know, man.
I think it's
That's
cool.
why
I mean, you
it's a
do have
hard
a,
thing to place. That's why we have so many haters, man. People are like, I don't know what Rich O'Toole is, and people hate things they don't know. If I had a cowboy hat on and a fiddle, and I was just like, Texas is the best, yeah, Texas, like I would have no hate. But because write like unique songs, people are like, "Well, I don't know what that is. I hate that guy." It's like, take some time, buddy. Relax. They're good. It's good songs. You'll enjoy them.
Do you see a difference in fan bases or audiences depending on where you go and
Yeah,
perform?
I try to stay away from like really country stuff, like really super country dance halls, because those people want to hear like two-step in music, and they're,
Mm-hmm.
you know, good old country boys. Like, I like my whiskey and I like my country music with some fiddle in it. And this guy's got some designer jeans on, and I don't know what was coming out of his mouth. I try to stay away from that. I really try to play just like listening rooms or like great music venues where you buy a ticket and you see a great show. That's
Hmm.
where that's where I like to be at. Not so much the super liberal or super country. Like, I try to keep it right in the middle.
No, I think you know your place in a way. You know your
Yeah.
audience. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that that's a good way to go about it. What do you have on the docket for this year and coming up performances wise? What's coming up?
Well, I'm sober now. I had to cancel my tour, so I'm getting some of those tour dates back.
Mm.
And from here to 2025, I'm just on a tour, acoustic, me and a guitar. Put a band together probably in 2026. Just release this record, release another song on the radio. I have a merch line that's coming out.
Yeah,
I
tell
can't
us
tell you.
about that. Or can you?
It actually, yeah, comes out on this Tuesday, so this won't air. This episode won't air till when?
Probably a couple weeks. Yep.
Oh, perfect. Okay, it's
Yeah.
called godtexasandtacos.com.
And tacos.
godtexasandtacos.com. It's a t-shirt merch line. It has all your Ritual Tool merch. It has a like baby onesies merch called American Kid from my
Oh,
record
cute.
American Kid. It's got God, Texas, and Tacos. So it's all Texas themed shirts, and it's got female shirts. There's probably like over 60 t-shirts on it. And it's called godtexasandtacos.com. Go get you a t-shirt, a koozie, a sticker. It's great. It's a really cool store.
I'm
It
gonna
comes
get
out
myself a
tomorrow.
t-shirt. I will. I will
Go,
get
go
my
get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get myself a t-shirt. You might be
All
like
right.
seeing my logo here and then God Country and
Please
Tacos.
do. Please do.
And then it's gonna start like all my guests are gonna be like, what are you wearing? And I'm gonna be like, Ritual Tool,
God,
Ritual
Texas.
Tool.
If we
Yeah.
start making some money, I'd like to sponsor the show. Just put godtexasandtacos.com right there
Okay.
on the wall.
You
All
heard it
right.
first. Okay, we're gonna one of our
We
sponsors is
can
gonna
hit
be
like 10,000 in sales. I'm just gonna put in small lettering on the top of your board there. godtexasandtacos.com. That way everyone like, okay, I gotta Google. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should maybe, well, I mean, it's the Texas, it's all about Texas, but you should branch out. And so then everyone's going to have God, like I'm in Kansas, God, Kansas, and tacos. Uh,
Okay, now I need to get online and start buying every single state. Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
God. Yeah.
The
No,
Chinese,
that's
the
great.
Chinese are going to come in and get everything.
I think I created that because of my name. Like, I could do like the Rich O'Toole merch store, but people hate the name Rich O'Toole. They love it. Honestly, I have a lot of great fans. I'm talking about the 10% that just hate
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted something that three things people love. People love God, Texas, and tacos. So I was like,
Amen.
yep, let's go. So that's kind of how that name started.
That's great. And I'm curious. So you're talking about the album of all the songs that you wrote in rehab, which I think that alone, that backstory is really cool. And it means
Yeah.
it's raw and it's real. And so I'm excited to hear what you wrote during that time. How long does it take to produce an album for you?
Well, I'm gonna do this all acoustic, so probably one song a day, and I'll probably do it over the next 2 months. The studio's here in Fredericksburg. I usually work with Mac Damon and Helotus,
Hmm.
but this guy named Taylor here, I just want to kind of work with to this acoustic record, and Mac's super busy. And me and him will go back and do a full band record after this. Um, just me and a guitar, I don't know. We'll see. This could take a couple weeks, or knowing this crazy brain, I'll keep editing it and editing it until I get it right. So,
Yeah, take a life on of its own.
yeah.
I think you're a fascinating person, and I love how you have all these different interests. If you could pursue a career that wasn't music though, and wasn't something in like creating an app or something, like
Yeah.
what haven't you done that you would love to explore someday?
I have a lot to. I would love to be a professor one day.
Mm,
I want to reach out to A&M and maybe teach Texas songwriting
yeah, that
semester.
would be a neat. So I went to the
Yeah.
University of Arizona, and I think they were trying to get a country music songwriting class, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it went
If you're
through or
watching
not.
this and you're a university, I'd love to go. And I think I'm very qualified. I've written music that has over 50 million streams. So why not get me in there?
There's not a lot of people who have done
Who
that.
else do you get?
Yeah, right. And if you're willing to do that,
So I have a great resume. I mean, I would love to be a professor. I'd love to be a professor. I'd love to work in marketing too. Be fun to run a record label. I've run a couple different record labels, but I'm saying like on a major level, be fun to like be the head of like Sony one day and sign kids that I think really deserve it. Stuff like that. Just give back to the music industry.
yeah.
I'm secretly low key obsessed with JFK, so I'd love to like work in Washington, work on the Hill, try to pass legislation that helps America. I just feel like there's so much hate, though. I've already gotten so much hate in my music career that I couldn't see myself like running for Senate or something. But something fun. I don't know, something just to help America have projects to work on, be creative.
I love that. Well, now you brought that can of worms open with the being on the hill. What would be like your first thing if you're gonna, put a bill out there? What would be the first thing that you would try
Well,
to get
obviously, I'm a
through?
musician, so I'd lobby for that being its own entity with like healthcare and stuff. I feel like if you really dedicate yourself to the arts, I mean, is that your full time job in the arts that you should have be on a different scale of like healthcare, um, bills, all that. It should be like regulated to where like, okay, this guy's a professional songwriter. He obviously can't make money the way a person in real estate can.
Hmm.
Only the top 1% of people make money in the music industry. The other 99% are scraping by, can't get health care. It's just terrible.
It
So
is.
I would advocate for like the arts, basically try to be like the guy on the hill that's working with the snakes to get legislation and a lot more grants. Because now it doesn't make any sense. Like even for me, like I still have some cash in the bank. Thank God I didn't blow it on all the wine and booze I was consuming. But still a little bit left. But I'm not in a position to go out and to make a really great record costs like 40 grand.
It really
Now with
does.
streaming with Spotify and Apple Music, it would take you 10 years to recoup that. You're not recouping any of that money.
Oh,
So people that
you
are
get piddly.
broke, yeah, people that are broke that need to go make a record, they don't have the money. So I think the government should grant a lot more money to the arts so people can create. So I'd probably lobby for that.
Yeah. Well, you got your first vote. I'll vote
There
for
you
you.
go. Yeah,
I'll move down to Texas and I'll vote.
love it.
Yeah. So looking back at your whole career and everything that you've accomplished and the highs and lows of it,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to other creative people who maybe want to go into the arts, let's say, and country music? What things have you learned that maybe you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Don't get too excited. Be patient. Keep your addictions and your mental health checked.
Hmm.
Um, it's in your 20s, you're just wild. And I had every access to everything to become a superstar, and I blew it because I was just too excited. I didn't let it play out. Um, so be patient, work on your craft. Don't say yes to everything. Keep that big yes deep down inside and focus. Don't blow opportunities because you're doing things too fast. Focus on your craft and it will come. So that's pretty much it.
That's great advice. No,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. So we're coming to the end of our podcast, and one of the things I do with all the guests is I do a rapid fire round of questions.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
let's do it. Okay, let me
I thought
pull up my.
Stephanie Ryan was on here.
Yeah,
I love
Stephanie's.
her, man. I live in Maine part time a lot. So she's up from that area. So I see her all the time. She's awesome.
You should write a song with her. Collaborate.
Oh, we tried to. I don't know. She's probably scared of me. I'm always because I was probably always drunk around town. Like, hey, Stephanie, let's ride.
There's a tool.
There's up to just drinking with the fishermen.
I love it. Okay, I have my timer, and well, let me get my list here.
Let's do it.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Favorite song to perform live?
Um, God and George Strait.
Fredericksburg or Houston?
Fredericksburg.
What's your go-to comfort food after a rough day?
Cheese enchiladas.
Ooh, dog person or a cat person?
Both.
What's an album you can listen to on repeat?
Bob Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited.
Oh, nice. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Both.
What's a recovery mantra or a ritual?
Recovery
Mm-hmm.
from like booze or what?
Just, I guess, yeah, addiction. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Wake up and slam like 3 beers.
Oh, rehab. Okay. Favorite lyric from Ghost?
Um, on the song Ghost, there's talk about West Texas dust town, like the dirt across my soul.
Yeah,
It's a great lyric. Yeah.
I love that. And then we got our 1 minute. I love that. I always love
Boom.
this. Boom. I love these little insights. And it's just like you have to just think boom, boom, boom right off the top of your head quickly.
I
And
love that.
yeah, truth comes out. Yeah. I mean, I should just have an entire hour of rapid fire questions and just we're
I
just
could do
gonna
it
go
all
down
day
the
long.
list. Yeah.
Like cats, license plates,
Yeah.
fishing, Golden Corral. Like, dude, we can just rock them out.
I love it. Rich, this has just been super invigorating, inspiring, and I love all the things you're doing. And thank you for being open and vulnerable about, the things that you're struggling with, because honestly, we all struggle with it. We all have our addictions. And I just think it's really comforting to hear from someone else, that we can relate to.
Yeah.
And you're awesome. So just
I'm
thanks
an
so
open book,
much.
man. I don't care anymore. I used to be so embarrassed by it. Now I just don't even. I'm like, yeah, dude, I love it.
Well, it's
That's why
really
I tell people, when
free.
people are like, I already quit drinking, be like, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was interfering in my life.
And
Everyone's
it's
got
okay to
addiction.
admit
We
that.
hide so much, man. People are such scamsters.
Yes.
They scam their own self out of life because they just hide from everybody. They don't want to admit the truth. It's okay to admit something.
Amen.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Be an open book and, just if the truth will set you free, right?
The truth will set you free.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Rich O'Toole, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Sheckler Spotlight with your host, Harrison Sheckler. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the show with a friend. New conversations drop regularly, so stay tuned. And thanks again for listening and being a part of the journey. Follow Harrison Sheckler on social media and visit harrisonsheckler.com to learn more.